Russia is beginning to taste the same reality it has been inflicting on Ukraine for nearly 3 years. Overnight strikes by Ukrainian drones on several power substations in the Kursk region left more than 16,000 residents without electricity. Local authorities confirmed outages across Glushkovsky, Rilsky, and Koronevsky districts, with emergency teams scrambling to switch parts of the region to backup lines and assess the damage. For the first time, many Russian civilians are experiencing what it means to live with the consequences of a war their own government launched. Since 2022, Ukrainian cities and villages have lived under constant bombardment, facing routine destruction of residential areas, heating plants, electrical substations, and civilian infrastructure. In Ukraine, blackouts have become a daily part of life, a direct result of relentless Russian missile and drone attacks designed to break the population and plunge the country into darkness. Ukraine's response has been fundamentally different. Instead of targeting civilians, Ukrainian forces have focused on the industrial and logistical backbone of Russia's war machine. Oil depots, ammunition warehouses, drone factories, air bases, and now the electrical grid that powers military installations near the border. When Ukrainian commanders warned earlier this month that Russia would begin to feel the consequences of its aggression, they made clear that any strikes would be aimed at infrastructure directly involved in fueling the invasion. The events in Kursk show that the balance is shifting. Russia is no longer insulated from the war it has exported. The population in the border regions is now confronting the same vulnerability that Ukrainian civilians have endured under constant threat. Each blackout on Russian territory is a reminder that the Kremlin cannot wage a war without consequence, and that Ukraine possesses the capability and resolve to disrupt the military network sustaining the invasion. As the winter approaches and Ukraine continues refining long-range drone operations, Russia may increasingly experience the very instability it once believed it could impose on others with impunity. Always enigmatic, Budanov commented on when Ukraine will move closer to ending the war. Our window will open again at the beginning or in the middle of February.
In another one of your interviews, you spoke about how, well, for the Russian-Ukrainian war to end, a peace agreement would require a whole lot of factors to align. In Russia, in Ukraine, and in the European...
And on the outer loop.
And in the United States of America. Are we currently close to this point of convergence, or on the contrary, have we actually drifted further apart in this time?
We will be moving closer to this throughout the winter season. Let me explain it to you in this manner. Our window of opportunity will open again around mid-February. All the significant events will occur in early February or perhaps mid-February.
Russian commanders effectively have immunity from the law, according to a commentary from journalist and war blogger Anastasia Kashevarova. As a result, tyrant commanders, such as the late Pavel Klimenko, are able to rob, abuse, and murder their own men with impunity. Commanders such as Klimenko and Colonel Igor Puzik, call sign Evil, have become notorious within the Russian army for their abuses, which have included setting up torture camps to remotivate their men and sending witnesses to alleged drug dealing to their deaths. Kashevarova explains how this has come about. Amendments to the Criminal Procedure Code have created a legal basis for military personnel to commit crimes. If a crime is committed, they only face a petition from their superiors, and no liability. On March 23, 2024, Federal Law Number 64, on amendments to the Criminal Code of the Russian Federation and the Criminal Procedure Code of the Russian Federation came into force. 1. According to these amendments, individuals who have signed contracts with the Ministry of Defense are exempt from liability for crimes committed before joining the Army, and if they receive state awards, their criminal records are expunged. 2. The investigator can also terminate criminal proceedings against a service member suspected or accused of committing a crime upon a petition from the military unit's command. That is, if a military member steals, deceives, robs, assaults, and so on, then a commander's petition is all that's required. No prosecution, no liability. Cases where investigations are not suspended. These include crimes against the sexual integrity of minors. serious and especially serious crimes, primarily against state authority and public safety, such as treason and terrorism. This legislative decision has led to people with criminal intent and, for some unknown reason, wearing epaulets, feeling impunity and committing crimes, knowing they'll be cleared. Repeat victims suffer from this decision, since recovery for the victim is impossible unless guilt is established. The law that amended the Criminal Procedure Code and the Criminal Code of the Russian Federation states that there is a right to file a civil suit. But how? If guilt is not proven, then moral damages cannot be recovered, nor can damages be recovered. Because illiterate and incompetent people write and pass laws, and because there is no clear legal review, Russia's legal foundation is being seriously undermined. Conscientious citizens cannot find justice and cannot count on the law to protect them. Meanwhile, law enforcement agencies, the secret services, those who uphold the law, the Investigative Committee of Russia, the Far Eastern Federal District, the Federal Security Service, the Ministry of Internal Affairs, and the Prosecutor's Office, are powerless against the legal nihilism fostered by incompetent individuals who play with the law and the fate of their country. Many people contact me complaining of their inability to achieve justice. I also know that security forces are indignant at being unable to fulfill their duty and protect the interests of the country and its citizens. Many security personnel want to quit because of legal chaos or have given up fighting. In the next section, I'll give a specific example of how one can fleece the state and its people, undermine the country's defense capabilities, commit military sabotage, and escape punishment. And all this under the guise of the law. Soldiers become the virtual slaves of their tyrant commanders, who exploit them for their own ends, granting them life and threatening them with death. If you think building dachas for generals is a thing of the past, you're very much mistaken. This spring, several soldiers were sent from the North Military District to build a dacha for a colonel of the 27th Guards Artillery Regiment in Tatarstan. And who wouldn't agree? It would be great to sign a contract, receive millions in compensation, and then not go off to fight, but pour concrete in a Tatar village for Comrade Colonel. Meanwhile, the soldiers were listed as being in the North Military District and conducting active offensive operations. I'm publishing a video of the construction. Colonel Valery Kashirin, commander of the 27th Artillery Regiment of the 6th Motorized Rifle Division of the 3rd Army Corps, sent the soldiers to build a dacha for himself on a plot of land belonging to his wife. The Military Investigative Department has opened a criminal case against him under Part 1 of Article 285 of the Russian Criminal Code, Abuse of Authority. In addition to the construction of a dacha at the expense of soldiers and the state, there are complaints against Kashirin for illegally collecting money from soldiers. This scheme, unfortunately, is common among pseudo-commanders who dishonor officers. If you want a promotion, pay up. If you don't want to participate in artillery assaults, pay up. If you're wounded, pay up for medical care. However, for now, a case has been opened against Colonel Kashirin for abuse of authority. It seems, however, that the colonel will avoid punishment, as a motion to suspend the case against him will be filed. Also, as far as I know, Valery Kashirin remains a commander. It's these kinds of commanders who charge for being in their unit, for providing medical care, who harm the country by solving personal issues at the expense of soldiers who are already in short supply. They send you on a one-way trip because you refuse to pay them, while they themselves get rich off the lives of soldiers. How are we supposed to fight? Isn't this discrediting? Isn't this treason? Are such people worthy of command? How could the state make a decision that protects corrupt officials, murderers, traitors, and saboteurs? This is a universal problem in the Russian army. Military personnel close to them, implicated in fraud, receive protection at the request of their commander. Real soldiers, true warriors suffer from this. How will normal people sign contracts if there's such chaos? Footage from Ternopil as rescuers continue searching for the missing. The damage is so severe that parts of the site can only be cleared by hand. This is what deliberate war crimes look like. Residential buildings hit by cruise missiles, leaving families buried under the rubble.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.